from Capricorn Technologies, based out of New Delhi. First of all, a very good afternoon to all the panelists and the members and attendees who are present here from our construction fraternity. I would especially like to thank our friends from Australia. It's late evening over there, and they have been gracious enough to be available for this session. So thank you so much for being here. So just to start off, so let me just quickly introduce the panelists and the speakers who are there on this call today. So with me, I have Mr. Praveen Tommy. He is a regional director for Asia Pacific Autodesk Construction Cloud, based out of Australia. Then I have Mr. Stephen Brown. He's a technical sales manager, again from Autodesk Construction Cloud, based for the APAC region. Mr. Andrew Hill, business manager, again based out of Australia, and from Cloud A2K, based in Australia. And then we have from India, our chairman of Capricorn Technologies, Mr. Chakresh Jain. To kick off for an opening session, I would like to invite Mr. Chakresh Jain to introduce Capricorn and Autodesk in a brief manner. Yeah, Mr. Chakresh, over to you.
Thank you, Shitanshu. I'd like to also introduce Ms. Chairman Lau. She's from Autodesk and joining us from Singapore. So if you can move to the next slide, Shitanshu. So maybe meanwhile the slide is coming, I'll just like to welcome everyone and just like to talk a little bit about Capricorn. And all of you know, all the participants, we've been working with you for so many years. So we've been present in this industry for more than 3 decades now, serving more than 20,000 customers across the country. And of course, we are Autodesk Platinum Partner. And recently, we have also become Autodesk Construction Solution Partner. And so I'll not talk much about ourselves. We've already been having a very strong relationship. So with that, instead of that, we will like to hear what we have come here to hear about. Over back to Shitanshu.
Yeah, thank you so much. So with this, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Praveen. So Mr. Praveen has been leading initiatives of Autodesk Construction Cloud for the APAC region. He's a regional director, and he brings with him and almost 15 plus years of experience working with some of the biggest technology companies across the world. So Mr. Praveen, thank you for being here. With this, over to you.
Thank you so much, Capricorn team. If you can unshare your screen so that I can, yeah, thank you so much. Let me just share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes,
yes, we can.
Okay. So good evening, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Great to be here and great to actually take you through the new possible in construction. My name is Praveen Tommy. I have Stephen as well as chairman from my team here on the call. And what I want to do today is in a couple of slides, just talking about what is happening in the industry, and then really take you through, what the new possible in construction is from Autodesk. Okay, so with that, let me kickstart. So, construction is massive, as you guys know, and we have a lot of challenges, and these are changing really quickly as well, right? So what does that mean? With that, it actually comes with a lot of opportunities, like winning businesses, increasing collaboration with your with the companies which you work for. You also see project delays and so on and so forth. And then on the other hand, you also see a lot of global trends like skill shortages, which you're actually seeing because of COVID. There's a lot of skill shortages all around the world in construction, and a lot of work going on from a sustainability standpoint in the industry as well. So what we did was earlier this year, we tied up with IDC Group, and interviewed around 280 customers in the APAC region, including India. And we came out with, we did a research. We have copies of that. We can share that with you guys also. And what we found was 80% of the construction companies were in early stages of digital transformation pre-pandemic, right? And 95% of the companies, construction companies, have made digital investment during the pandemic. And it was very evident, for us also, where we actually saw a lot of take up for our cloud product in the last 1.5 to 2 years because of what we all experienced from a COVID standpoint. And in the research, what we also found was there were like 3 buckets of companies. One set of companies were really responding to really keep their business continuity going. And then we also had a second group of companies who were adapting in a much smarter way and implementing solutions, to the wider business. And then the third set of companies were companies who have already been in the digitization journey, and they were really accelerating that digitization journey during this period. And as I said, we would love to share the research paper with you as well. So we will share that with the team here, and you will be able to access that. So Box.com also did an analysis of different industries to see where does data fit in various industries. And you can see from the graph here, the pictures here, in software, manufacturing, finance, and media entertainment, you can see everything is clustered into a central location kind of thing. If you look at construction and mining, you will see there's a lot of silos of information. So you can see multiple silos, right? So what does that mean? Meaning to have silos in construction, how does that affect us? So the cost of fragmented industry means 35% of the time is wasted on non-optical activities. $280 billion annually spent on rework. This is an area which, I've actually spent a lot of time in the last 5 years. I was working with a startup company named PlanGrid. And one of the things which we were really working on was to help our customers to eliminate rework. And the good news is, Autodesk actually acquired PlanGrid, and we are part, and this is an opportunity, with Autodesk here. And then what we also found is 95.5% of the data is unused. To give you an example, I'm not going to name which country it is, but it is in the APAC region where, 3 towers were built over a span of 2 years. And then after that, the company is now spending more money employing people to actually gather all the as-built information. So they really did not have any as-built information, and they're now spending more money to actually get all the as-built information from the last 2 years, right? So those are the things which we are addressing, and those are the things which happen from a fragmented industry standpoint. So as you can see right now, construction is very collaborative, as we all know. We do a lot of collaboration work, but it is still fragmented, right? You can see. So this is an area which, I was really focused on, not just with general contractors, any trade which is actually part of the construction industry is actually going through this, okay? Too many platforms, miscommunication, drawing versions are not aligning, a lot of these things which you hear on a day-to-day basis, right? So how do we address that, and what is the new possible? So the new possible is a platform approach. And this is where Autodesk has actually been investing over the last 3 years to create this platform approach. So you can actually have information in a single platform, starting from your design through to pre-construction, construction, and handover. Everything sits in one platform. If you have third-party integration with other providers, that data also can come in and sit with you in your platform so that you have access to that. So how do we do that? So we actually digitize, we want to digitize the industry. We want to integrate systems in place, and then we want to optimize that as well. So from an evolution standpoint, how did Autodesk Construction Cloud come into place? So over the last 3 years, you might have heard, Autodesk spent around $1.5 billion acquiring a lot of small, best of breed startup companies like PlanGrid, Assemble, Building Connected, and so on. And what we did was we actually started integrating all these, tools together to create a meaningful integration. And behind the scenes, we were actually doing, something also, which is basically we took all the good things from PlanGrid, all the great things from Building Connected, all the great things from Assemble, all the great things from BIM 360, and created a new unified platform. Okay, so a lot of work has been gone through, and earlier this year we launched what is called as Autodesk Build, which is a combination of all the best of breed, technologies we acquired, and we created this. So to give you an example, PlanGrid was known for their usability, and it was actually built like an app so that you could easily access information and use the tool. So we're bringing in the same usability into the new unified platform so that training is easy, implementation is easy, and the adoption is easy as well. So that is what we have in our DNA, so that we actually create a tool which is simple and easy for you to use. So what does that mean in terms of connected construction? So as you can see, the current scenario, you have design, which is a silo, you have plan, which is a silo, build and operate. They're all different silos, and information is not getting transferred seamlessly, and you're actually losing a lot of information as well. So what we are addressing now is we are actually creating a platform where the information transfers from start to finish. So like your drawings, your models, your teams, your assets, cost, data, and so on, passes from design through to plan, through to build, through to operate. So as you can imagine, an architect has huge, they have their 3D drawings and so on. And then once it actually comes to your construction site, you now have to download it and then, and then upload it to your own system and so on. Once you start using a single platform, there is no more uploading and downloading and wasting time. It's all in single platform for you, where you can easily access all this information at your fingertips, as well as you access all this information via your mobile device, and it all works offline as well. So in terms of products, from a design standpoint, it's your design authorization and collaboration module. Then from a plan perspective, you have coordinate and model coordination. Then you have your build, which is basically your project management, which has cost, quality, safety, and closeout. And then you have your operate, which is your facilities management. Underlying all this, the data is shared through our BIM 360 docs, where you have your models, drawings, issues, and so on in there. And throughout, we have your insights also, which actually gives you your reporting capabilities and dashboards. And underlying, you have your builders network, which is right now not added into the tool yet, but that is something which we are adding right now, where you can actually bring in all your subcontractors. You can actually, publish your work for tender, response comes back, and so on and so forth. So that's actually coming very soon as well. So that is, in a nutshell, what Autodesk Construction Cloud is. And what I want to do now is hand it over to Stephen so that you can actually see what this product is all about and how it can actually help you from design through to pre-construction, construction, and handover. Okay. With that, Stephen, over to you, man.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tommy. If I can share my screen, can you just let me know when you can see my screen? Take that over.
Yeah, I can see
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let me just grab this for a second. Oh, actually, there we go. Now, perfect. So it's late Friday evening here. Everyone coming to you from Australia, and yeah, it's been one of those days. So bear with me. Thanks very much, Tommy. That was fantastic. My name's Stephen. I'm the Autodesk Construction Cloud Technical Solutions or Technical Sales Manager for the APAC region. Originally from probably the best cricketing nation in the world, Ireland, of course, we're known for it. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you today to talk you through. The slide that Tommy ended on is a perfect one, because that's actually where I would like to pick up. A lot of what Tommy has spoken about being a data company, about being a platform business, this is where it all comes to the fore. This is the cold face of how we're actually enacting that through the Construction Cloud. So we're bringing together the various different areas of a platform or of a project lifecycle, distilling those down into various different workflows or capabilities, and then bringing them together in a platform to be able to communicate, be able to unlock the value that's inherent in that 95% of business that Tommy spoke about, right? When you think about that, 95.5% of data goes unused. The ability to use even an extra 10% of that to triple what you are looking at using for construction is not only going to raise profit margins, but do things like sustainability, increase material, labor productivity. The outputs or the outcomes from that are phenomenal. So what does this actually look like from a product standpoint? What does it mean? How do we actually get in and do that, right? So looking at how the Construction Cloud is formulated, not every person is going to need full access to all of the modules because they'll all work in slightly different areas and slightly different ways. So we've looked at that, we've taken that on board, looked at industry, and what we've done is we've put it into various different product modules or functionalities. So for things in the design period, in the design space, we're looking at things like design collaboration, automatic clash detection, change visualization, and communication with architects, subcontractors, main contractors, and that all takes place in BIM Collaborate. Moving on from that, we can then use some of that information, whether it's 2D, whether it's 3D. We can use that information to quantify what we're looking to build. How do we extract the quantities out of those models, out of those 2D sheets, and then use those for things like estimating, use those for things like budgeting, use those for things like procurement. We do have Autodesk Assemble, which sits within our area. It's not directly within the platform, but what Assemble can do is very dynamic and very robust. And I'm not really going to touch on that today, but it is worth noting that when we look at getting into very complex, deep workflows, that we can start to use a simple tool to utilize called Assemble. But the main focus is going to be, of course, on Autodesk Build. So we've got the information from design, we've got the quantification information, we've got the information from the planning, and now we can start to use that for things like project management, things like quality, safety, closeout, asset management. In the project Tommy was speaking about, which I'm unfortunately very aware of, the towers that get built, if they had, and this is their words, not just mine, but if they had the ability to create the as-builts as it's been building, almost like that digital twin idea, or more of a formatted 2D approach to that, then all of this will save time, money, but also do more kind of quantitative things like decrease in defects. One key point to take out of this is that it's all formed on the basis of Autodesk Docs. The document management piece is the bit that allows this connection to happen. It's the piece where we start to look at bringing in those different teams, bringing in subcontractors, bringing in the estimators in to be able to communicate and collaborate on a single common data environment. So with the CDE, information flows through a central repository where we have control over that, we have permissioning, we have up-to-date information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through a bit of a video. It's a pre-recorded video, and I'll just voice over to kind of walk you through what we are seeing, because it gives you a really good idea of the kind of tool and how it actually looks. So looking at controlling that process, make sure that the right information is in the right people's hands, and teams are in sync and on track, right? So this all starts through things like setting permissions for project members at either a folder or a subfolder level. So teams can choose to share a folder or a file with just project members or to other project collaborators. And then we can customize whether we're sharing the versions, options, and link expiration dates with additional layers of control within that. We can even start to look at formulating and messaging those through transmittals, and then to, again, specific users and roles. And then we're keeping all of the stakeholders up to date. We can also find the information they need by filtering through the searches and folders by files. And then for team members in the field, files can be synced to the mobile device by uploading it for the field folder. Versioning. So as we start to get different iterations through, sharing and distribution of those is key. So versions automatically get updated within clear instructions with the new files as they're uploaded. And then teams can easily compare the versions by just simply overlaying them and then aligning them on top of each other with differentiating color outlines, right? So we can see what those differences in drawings between version 1 and version 2 really are. Approval workflows. So then through more intuitive approval kind of capabilities, teams can facilitate and control and even automate some of the review and distribution of project drawings. So once templates are set up and team members can create a new review by selecting a pre-made template, we can then start to look at adding the files, notes if we need to, adding any additional information, including a name, what that review is, and then just hitting submit. We can choose to notify reviewers or other project members with an email to keep all stakeholders in the loop. And then when we go through the approving methodology, reviewers can choose to add comments, they can mark up and even select the approval status against that. So when we're identifying and prioritizing the kind of critical design and engineering problems before they create delays and cost overruns during construction with collaboration tools, such as the markups and issues, so we can communicate details on drawings or models with lines, shapes, or even things like text markups. And then we can assign design issues directly on a drawing or a model to resolve those errors straight away, including things like adding due dates and references in against those issues. And then finally, within the field, teams need to be able to quickly view that most up-to-date design file online or offline. So we can drag and drop PDF files or an existing file to upload as a sheet, and we can publish them directly from Docs. And then we can create a new or select an existing version set. And then what's going to happen is optimal character recognition technology was going to scan, link, and label those sheets, optimizing them to load instantly onto any device that it needed. To finish that upload, we create rules that's going to standardize the sheet numbering. And then we can add or edit tags after the fact. Then once they're uploaded, we can start to get into viewing and editing those tags. As we said, we can apply those to all the sheets. And then those sheets can be viewed in the mobile app, right? So then we can start to look and view those as they come through. And then lastly, we can hyperlink them. So callouts which enable the users to quickly compare or jump into a different sheet with a single click, or leverage advanced markups such as hyperlinking to RFIs or attaching photos to streamline how the teams are working within the office and the field. Okay, so another big area for that exists within the kind of build area is going to be the ISO 19650, which I'm sure everyone on this call has heard of before. The ISO 19650 trigger has been an increasing mandate that we are seeing come through. And of course, as we start to see more and more of this, we're starting to be able to react in a way that is not only more reactive to what we're seeing in industry, but actually guiding industry to enable them to be able to get their certifications, to be able to give them a form or a structure to be able to go out and attain those certifications, to be able to get those bigger jobs. Of course, as we get past that moment, as we get past and we're kind of set up our core foundation of Autodesk Docs, I will jump into a video on BIM Collaborate. This one is actually, this video as well as a Takeoff video is kind of fresh off the press. So for this one, I'm actually going to leave this audio come through and explain it to you far better than I could.
A construction team's ability to deliver projects on time and under budget hinges on resolving issues before breaking ground. Every year, clashes in the field can cost tens of thousands of dollars each, adding up to 5% of the total construction budget. With advanced digital automation capabilities, design and coordination teams can improve the process of producing quality constructible models and designs. Introducing Autodesk BIM Collaborate, a cloud-based model coordination and design collaboration solution, part of the Autodesk Construction Cloud unified platform. Leveraging a common data environment, Autodesk BIM Collaborate empowers BIM managers, design leads, and trades to take part in the design and model coordination process together to resolve issues at the same time in the same place. Improve cross-team accountability by tracking project deliverables with an environment that details the who, the what, and the when. Aggregate multidisciplinary models seamlessly in one space to facilitate design review and clash detection. With automatic clash testing, design and trade teams can self-check their work, protecting against non-recoverable rework costs. Accelerate time to site through round-trip issues management. Resolve issues created in the cloud directly in Revit and Navisworks. When issues arise, use the Autodesk Construction Cloud to streamline meetings by setting an agenda with issue details, referenced models, and assigned stakeholders. When design changes occur, teams can visualize both versions, identify disciplines that are affected, and even set up notifications to keep track of critical items. Powerful analysis tools in the cloud give managers and owners the ability to track the progress of construction projects and insights to better predict future builds. Reduce costly rework and accelerate project timelines from the cloud with Autodesk BIM Collaborate.
Fantastic. So this is much better than I have got. And I hope the audio quality was coming through okay. We had a bit of a storm here earlier. My internet dropped out. So perfect. Let's move on. Let's move on to Takeoff, right? So we've got our document storage and our CDE items finished. We've done our design collaboration. We're doing our coordination. Of course, this isn't strictly linear. This could be cyclical, but now we're getting into that takeoff phase. So with Takeoff, now using those models that we have within the, using the models that we have as part of that design process, we can start to utilize those through our common data environment. We can start to use the collaborative environment to our advantage to be able to do things like, scope of works and packaging, right? So the Takeoff tool is a quantification tool that does such measurements as counts, linears, and different areas. But not only in the 2D, this is where we can start to leverage the information that we are seeing in 3D. So we can start to unlock some of that percentage that we're not setting out. So setting up the system is very easy. It's very flexible, and depending on how you wanted to use it, we can go with imperial, metric, and use as many classification systems as we need to be able to get the information that we need out of it. Right? So if there's a custom classifications that you as a business need to use, or there's a project specific as part of the BIM deliverables, we can use those. And then we can also jump in and add any members or templates through the admin area. So again, so if we're doing something in one area, it makes this very easy to be able to go in and templatize this. So we're doing things right the first time and then repeating that. Of course, not everyone's going to see all of these different modules. We can turn these on and off depending on the individual's roles, but then we can also add members through kind of our enterprise level administration. So it's very easy to add those people in, add roles, add different permissions into it again. Again, centralized documentation, this is really the core of everything we're looking at. So if we're bringing in different elements of the construction and the subfolders within those, we can use that information to be able to push that through into our takeoff area. So let's just say, for example, I have this Revit file. I want to conduct a takeoff. I need to publish that into my sheets and models where my estimators or my quantity surveyors are going to be able to use that information. There's a specific handshake between that by design so that we enable them to kind of gatekeep what's happening. With 2D takeoffs, so within the platform, we can divide up the packages depending on how we want to view these. Again, these can be templatized based on a template project we might have. Let's just say, for example, with architectural, I could divide that up and open up as needed. On the left, I'll be able to see all of the different takeoff types. It's very simple to create a new one, whether it's linear, point, area, or the BIM, which we'll get to, and then apply a classification based, including any formulae that I need to put in against that. So for example, square feet, I can add different parameters in there to be able to make sure that the takeoff quantities I'm getting to are what I need to get to. Again, these can be imported from a template, so they don't have to be constantly created. And once we do start to get in this, we've got a robust set of tools that we can then use to ensure that we're getting accurate quantities, including things as cutting out different shapes and different curves. with the feature or with the version comparison, as different areas or different files get updated, we can choose whether we bring these to a 2D to the current sheet and then view the changes that have happened over time. But of course, some of the real power is based in the BIM model. So when we bring the BIM model into Takeoff, this is where we can start to get into the model itself. We can use things such as the properties to be able to define and delineate what we're looking at. So all of the properties, say for this Revit file, for example, will come through. We'll be able to see such things such as omni-class model, material, size, family name and family type. And easily create a takeoff package directly against that. So it will pull in the family name against which I can then map out what the count is. And then using the BIM model, I can select all of those with the same property and easily add those into a takeoff package instantly. One of the key features of this is the cluster form. So if I hit the cluster form, it breaks down that entire model. It will leave the ones that I want to one side, but it will break down the model into its family type and family components. So again, just really kind of accelerating that whole takeoff process. All of the takeoff that I'm doing, whether it's 2D, 3D, will jump in or will live update into the inventory. So this becomes a live collaborative environment where if I need several people doing a quantity takeoff, I can also use this as that collaborative environment and it will live update, but also as a pivot table. So if I want to group that by takeoff type, by area, and then export it to do what I need to from the back of it. So the Takeoff tool is kind of the next step in being able to unlock what the the power that we're starting to see within that BIM model and starting to see within the various different areas of this platform. So we'll jump into the next area, which is kind of focusing more on build. So how do we start to execute on what we've planned, what we've estimated, what we've documented? How do we go out and start to do things such as quality forms? Whether it's in our design we need to do a defect list or a tag list against it. Whether I need to do ITPs, whether I need to do safety inspections as well. So let's jump into the quality aspect of it. So with the quality planning, a main part or one of the big parts of this is going to be planning. So this is the first step to really reducing the mistakes and minimizing reworks on products. So to start, teams can easily create templates to, for quality checklists to standardize how we are collecting that data. We can use pre-built templates, upload existing PDFs, or we can build templates from scratch. And then we can choose the ideal form collaboration setting and specify the contributors and reviewers. Then through the use of signatures and things like required fields, teams can ensure that there's an accountability and a data accuracy around it. And then we're allowed to report out of it. So this will increase the transparency by giving a clear track record of work performed. And then we can easily export and share those checklists or punch lists to ensure that everyone is informed around kind of the work progress. And users can include any photographs, any documents, and add any forms to the reports to provide any further context needed. Then with quality control, the forms and issues are pretty much the backbone of that standardized quality control process, right? So start by filling out that quality checklist we spoke, either from the desktop or it can be from the mobile device as well. Very simple. Any answers that we aren't looking for will automatically click to create an issue to associate that to the checklist. Again, attach any photos, documents, or sheets. And then once created, all the quality checklists are connected to the related issues or forms to ensure that the information is always accessible and up to date. And then through the activity log, users can see that transparent kind of audit trail of all of the updates made on the quality checklist, including assignee, things like changes, added documents, photos, team member signatures, and a lot more. And then let's get a little bit deeper into the issue management. So this is really essential to ensuring all of the quality related problems are resolved as swiftly as possible. So in the issue settings tab, users can create custom issue categories, types. They can select the exact type and enter the custom root causes for each quality issue. And then by tracking this type of data, teams can more easily find information as well as better understand key problem areas. We can also leverage 2D sheets or 3D models by placing pins to identify the exact location of that quality issue. And this makes it so much faster for team members to find that exact problem and take action immediately. We can directly assign these issues to the right team member and automate the notification to ensure that there is that faster resolution. And then since those quality issues often turn into more formal RFIs through a single click, we can then escalate any issue to an RFI. And then this will really connect the workflow, save time, and then increase transparency across that entire team as well. With Punchlist, I mean, again, this is it's the core of every project quality work list. So seamlessly filling in those templates can save significant time. So we can identify and initiate fixing errors directly at the job site by filling out during walkthroughs and site inspections. And then as users create issues based on those punch list items, they can assign them immediately, of course, to the relevant subcontractor so that they can get it resolved without delay. And of course, we can track all of these issues in one place and get notified as soon as they are closed as well. And another area actually that is of huge interest is the asset tracking. So quality management doesn't just finish at handover. All of the assets that are installed need continual monitoring and maintenance. So through the assets tab, we can leverage a centralized place to track and manage the lifecycle of the project assets from the design to the handover. So this includes storing of all asset related documentation in a centralized database that is very easy to hand over and to owners and also to maintenance teams. An ongoing benefit of that too is the ability to easily access the asset data in the field. So then this gives the teams the ability to perform commissioning, quickly resolve those defects, and also get access into any warranty information as well. And then we can finally connect the workflow, increase the project lifecycle kind of transparency by linking relevant forms and checklists and issues directly to that one asset. So the asset module as part of the quality management, as part of Autodesk Build, is a key part to, again, being able to connect into those various different data points, open up those different areas for inclusion and start to look at utilizing and gaining efficiencies for project teams. I promise you, I don't have too much left to go. There is one more point that I would like to make. That is when we're starting to look at all of these different kind of facets of information. I won't make you look at that again. All of these different facets of information, right? So we're looking at the design here. We're looking at the takeoff. We're looking at the docs. We've got the build. One of the key functionalities that actually comes from this, out of this quantity of data, are down the bottom here. So if we start to look at things like the unified data, things that kind of flows across the entire portfolio of the products, this will allow us to pull out things such as dashboards, reports, Constructor Iq, which is our machine learning or AI platform, and also data connector, so we can push the information out. Our Autodesk approach isn't an isolation of information. It's the opposite. It's the open approach where we can take in anything and put out anything. But the idea is that this is the platform that will allow you to do that. So looking through the dashboards, so through these, we can start to get a holistic view of both project and cross-project analytics. So starting on things like the project home, again, across all projects, this is where team members can see a personalized kind of actionable view into the project status. And then from here, users can even create and track project milestones. We can easily access important links. We can view and filter the recent activity and reference assigned work and take action immediately. Additionally, the teams can make sure that everyone is on the mobile app is up to date and ensure that they have the latest information to hand. Team members can then also view and share customized project-specific dashboards through the dashboard settings. So through those settings, users can select permission levels based on roles, users, and companies. And we can choose from dozens of different dashboard cards, including third-party integration partner cards like scheduling, like estimating software, site cameras, artificial intelligence, business intelligence tools. Once those cards are selected, we can easily move them around for an ideal setup before we save that dashboard. And then in addition to the project level dashboards, executives can analyze data from across projects to get a broader view of company-wide performance. So these account level dashboards, users can see how projects are performing, they can view trends, and then prioritize where to focus executive level attention into those different areas. Constructor Iq, as I said, was our AI platform. So this is taking the data analysis and the risk prevention to that next level with predictive and preventative ability of Constructor Iq. So we start to look at using machine learning. We start to look at scanning project data and identifying high-risk areas and help teams resolve issues and projects before they have a costly or time-consuming impact downstream. So choose from an overview risk dashboard or dig into more detail with design, project controls, quality, and safety dashboards. We can add and remove and rearrange the project controls, the quality ones. Then we can start to look at choosing from adding or removing or rearranging construction specific IQ specific cards. We can then click to expand the cards and get in more details such as status, risk level, impact, assignees, and a lot more information. Then with reporting, so we can produce daily, weekly reports as, that's always been a critical part of, and often a tedious part of any project, right? So we can create a new project report from a variety of templates that we set up, enter in the name of the report we want to run and the format for that report. We can add filters and select a sorting mechanism and add a click to create that report. Once we've created, we can choose to download, or we can copy the link, or even share the report. Or you can automate the entire process by scheduling weekly or monthly reports and set up a reporting schedule and distribution list for hassle-free reporting to the people who need to see it at the time they need to see it. And then, as I said, as we're accessing that data, it's not always as easy as it should be with these things like APIs, etc. But through the data connector, we can click to extract the project data across all of the projects and workflows. And then we can start to look at, once it's exported, all of that data can be easily kind of re-imported into other robust tools and intelligence tools such as Power BI for more customized use. With easy to use kind of templates, we can extract and manipulate that data for more sophisticated type analysis. And then with the Power BI partner card, users can surface any kind of data visualization back into Insight, closing that loop for other project members to kind of see and how it looks through. So of course, with the dashboards, we're really looking at being able to not only use that information, but visualize and give people the predictive ability to recognize trends before they would naturally. A couple of closing slides for me before I'll pass over to Andrew to close us out. As I said, Autodesk Construction Cloud is really going for a data and a platform approach with this. We've got a best of breed applications and a really robust set of tools that also integrate with us. We've got a full ecosystem of over 175 direct integrations plus hundreds of workflows within Autodesk Construction Cloud. Just to give you a bit of an idea of where we're sitting, there's a whole host, and I'm sure everyone will recognize quite a few from here. But if we start to look at how we bring that together into one environment to be able to execute on that, it really really does represent a huge volume of opportunity. And this is my last slide. I believe Tommy put this one in beforehand, but just to kind of connect it, right? If you now think of that 95.5% of all the data that goes unused in engineering and in construction, even getting down and being able to kind of unlock a small percentage of that is going to lead to exponential growth in things of like efficiencies, bottom line, and huge financial outputs, as well as other kind of more qualitative things like, as I said, sustainability, even safety on site. Being able to just, I suppose, use the information to increase that alone is an investment worth making. So that's everything from me. I'll be quiet and I'll hand it over to Andrew to take us on.
Thanks, Stephen. I don't know if I need to really talk, mate, because everything that my customers were feeling is exactly what you've presented. But hey, we'll give it a try. I'll take over the screen. All right, so thank you everybody for attending today. We really appreciate it. So I just wanted to spend a really short amount of time, 10 minutes or so, just to really go over this in action. Autodesk has spent a lot of money in investment in acquiring other companies to pull this together, plus a lot of internal resources, research and development to actually change what the construction industry is today. And the construction industry did need changing, which is something that's really important. So I just wanted to go through a little bit of an example of one of our customers and why they've chosen Construction Cloud as their platform of choice for delivering on our projects. This is Northeast Link project in Victoria. Bear with me. So this is the longest tunnel project in Victoria in Australia. So it's going to be a twin 3-lane tunnel, including all the interchanges, which is undergoing 7 packages of works, plus a supplier portal where they need to have suppliers coming in and having access to various components within the design. And there's over 10 companies that are working on this joint venture. So in terms of complexity as a project, it is highly intricate, highly complex, dealing with both infrastructure and building works as part of this, and also a tunneling component, which can also bring with it its own complexities. Without that, the fact that it's also 10 companies that are involved with this in actually pulling this project together. So, this is a quick visualization of what the project's going to, or what the tunnels are going to look like. So 3 lanes each way, all fully ventilated. A lot of safety and sustainability is going to this tunnel as well, which is something that's very interesting. Some of the key companies, and this is why it's a very important project, there's some very large global companies that are working on this project. This isn't all of them inside of a joint venture, but this is some of the key ones. Build's taking on some of the construction, and with CPB, we've got WSP, Jacobs, Smith, Arcadis, Golder with some of the tunneling, and Mott's in terms of some of the design coordination in moving forward. So as I said, it's broken up into 7 packages and subcontract and the suppliers. One of those is all around construction and the construction joint venture. There's 2 design joint ventures. There's also an asset joint venture. There's 3 specialty packages that are going out for specialty components within the project. So this is a really, really complex project when it looks at this in terms of coordination, drawing coordination, the generalization of the CDE, and just even managing data from that perspective becomes highly, highly complex within this project. So we had a number of meetings with the entire joint venture team to look at how this could be pulled together and what was the best strategy in managing this project and managing data information, and ensuring that we eliminated fragmentation, duplication, and an inefficiency of communication. I think one of the things that both Tommy and Stephen have said, which is this, 95% of data goes unused. We wanted to make sure that data was accessible and consumable by the right people at the right time. So we sat down and had a number of meetings, and we really got to the crux of what was important to them in managing this project going forward. So model management, it is going to be a complete model design for everything. So they needed to ensure that this was managed between design and construction. They saw it as highly inefficient if designers were doing great design models that moved to construction and then everything went back to a paper-based model. That is highly inefficient, and it's one of the reasons that construction is one of the least digitized industries in the world today. So that model management became highly critical for them. They want to ensure that they're complying with the latest standards and approval structures that are in place. And Stephen touched on it with ISO 19650, built off the back of PAS 1192 out of the UK, and a fantastic standard for people that are dealing with model-based design and delivery. So they wanted to ensure that they were actually working within that framework, as a lot of the international partners need to want to ensure that they're complying with it. As we said, there's 10 subcontractors that are working in this joint venture, or 10 contractors that are all companies working in the joint venture. So there's a complex relationship between roles and user management and who has access to which of the design packages and how information is shared across those design packages. So it was highly complex in terms of actually managing that. Accessibility and auditability are also critical to them. People need to be able to access it when it's required, wherever they are. So it can't be tied to a server, can't be limited to who can get it being in the office. They wanted to make sure that it was highly dynamic, because all of these organizations have multiple offices and may have diverse workforces that are working in multiple locations, pulling it together. Quantification of the models, they need to actually be able to actually go through and perform some of the measurement from a takeoff functionality and ensure they're doing that. They needed to ensure there was an approval process. So they wanted to actually ensure that there'd been proper due diligence and approvals through a documented and established workflow mechanism, so that every step gate within the process went through a formal approval, and it didn't move into the next step until that approval had occurred, because they're trying to sort of, again, eliminate errors, ensure that they're getting accurate information that goes out. And they want to make sure that the access to information on site is linked to the design. So as soon as they move to, first spading ground, start digging a hole, they really need to make sure that that information, because this is the design build process, is accessible and available from the field to the office, to ensure that any RFIs, changes, information that is required, or updates to models that need to occur, happen in a very quick manner, to ensure that they're not delaying the progress of everything moving forward. And they wanted that ability to be able to report on progress, report on accuracy, report on errors, report on quality as they're going through this entire process. And there's other things. This is without all of the design coordination and all of these. This is just really focusing on what it meant to them in a construction standpoint. So what did they choose Autodesk Build? They looked at a number of packages and they looked at a number of different companies as they're going through. And really, there's some key factors that led to this. Autodesk is going to be the predominant design application for this project as well. Not the only one, obviously, because there's some tunnel work that's happening there, and tunnel does use some other specialty applications. But the majority of the work is being done in an Autodesk application. So it was sensible for us, and especially from a modeling standpoint, ensuring that we can actually pull this together, that we were progressing that and moving that from the design platform and into the cloud, and into both the management of the models and the management of construction as we go forward. They needed that ability to work across multiple companies, and they felt that using Autodesk Build, and especially linked into Autodesk Docs, it gave them that ability to actually bring your own subscription, link into hubs, be able to set up the projects, be able to manage it, be able to link in and work with a lot of the Forge development that's going to happen in the background as well, and really tie it all together so that they've got all of these companies tying and working together. Easy to use workflows. Anyone that hasn't seen or how Autodesk Build operates in terms of the workflow engine, it is one of the most intuitive workflow engines that you could ever work with in terms of setting up approvals, setting up gates. One that's very seldom used, but we're going to be using it on this project, which is down to compliance to naming convention within files. You can't upload a document unless it's named correctly. So there's a whole range of things when we link into workflows that are really, really easy to use, user-friendly and manageable by organizations. So it doesn't take a complex amount of time for people to come in and set them all up for you. You go in, you have a bit of training, you understand how the workflow engine works, and you can go and keep creating them and working through as the project evolves. That ability to set up the project in line with ISO 19650, and there's a very specific and structure of how that can be done with inside Autodesk Build. Design and construction access to information. They felt that going down the Autodesk Build path really opened up that access to information for them, regardless of where they were, whether it's in the office, whether they're in the field on an iPad or a tough book or whatever it may be, and really giving them access wherever they are to have that. And even when people are not on site, but in a different location, that they can still go through an approval process and approve it in the same way. They wanted visibility on all project aspects, and this is one of the key things with Autodesk Build as well, is that it's broken up in a way that I can get my model information, we can get drawing sheets, we can go into RFIs, we can go into submittals, we can go into the takeoff. There's all of these different areas that are all very nicely laid out that allowed people this very easy visibility on all project aspects so that they could go in. The form structure for construction, they wanted to make sure that they actually could build all these forms and make sure that they were auditable, and make sure that they were consumable by everybody and easy to fill out and easy to manage, because they want to try and track as much information as they possibly can. This includes, RFIs traditionally happen in the field. There's actually a dual RFI process that's going to be undertaken on this process, on this project, so that you can do RFIs in design, track how much we're capturing in design versus RFI in the field, to see how they can actually balance it out and minimize RFIs in field by actually tracking them all through that design phase in that proxy digital twin environment. And then there's the inbuilt integration with reporting formats. They're going down the ACC Connect path because of the integration that it's got into Power BI. And they will actually be pulling out some of the Power BI reports, as well as some of the stuff that Stephen was talking around with Autodesk Insights, Construction IQ, and some of those key areas that they're working on. So there was some real easy decisions as to why they would go down the Autodesk Build path. Ultimately, it comes down to this data conversation again. They wanted to ensure they had connected teams, that had connected workflows, that had connected data. And that was the key mandate for them. So if we look at this in terms of a pictorial view of how this all came together, they're looking at document and role control across this project, making sure that it's all pulled together. They need to make sure that they've got a document approvals process through workflows. They need to make sure that they've got the document versioning, so that they really understand that they're working with the latest version, but can also go and track and understand changes between different versions. They've got the RFI process that they were going to go through, so that they actually understand and can influence all of those changes as they're occurring. Issue management process, so that they can understand any issues that happen once it gets to site. Also going through the safe, and that includes all of the punch lists and checklists and everything that they go through as well. Safety inspection, so that they really understand how that they can have a safer workspace, and ensure that they're going through this really safety in construction design methodology, right? And that then takes them to all of the reporting outputs and the functionality that they'll get on the back end of that, which is through the project dashboards and the ability to actually go through and visualize what outstanding tasks I have. If you're a supervisor, what outstanding tasks some of your design team or construction team have on the project, so that you can follow up on it. So it's very, very consumable, that you have a project dashboard with tasks that are allocated to you or people that are under you. Then linking that into the Construction IQ in terms of risk and risk management, as Stephen was talking about. And this is something that is, I think, one of the fantastic part with inside the Build application. And then linking that back through into Project Insight. And they want to use that insight for actually then building out things like 360-degree reviews on different packages to look at how they can do performance improvement as they go forward. So there was some real catalysts with how they actually want to go through and approach this. And that really means, in wrapping up, this is about connectivity from design to construction. We don't want to have this disparate and fragmented and siloed system anymore. Data's king in our industry, and we need to use data effectively to be more progressive. They needed intuitive workflows and an intuitive workflow-driven environment. and that's provided by Autodesk Build as they go forward. They would need one model for design and construction. So they don't want to break that system where the designers are working in one environment, the construction team's working in another environment, the models aren't the same, or it's had to do a transformation or a movement of what that construction model is. So they're not actually linked together. They wanted to ensure that because it's a design build project, everything was connected through that process. RFI and issue management was critical for them, and they want to actually drive that accessibility from anywhere. And that's, it's one of the beauties of the cloud and why the cloud is so important, and a necessity these days for all organizations, because we need that accessibility. And I think COVID has really driven why we need that. And they want to have this insight-driven mindset so that they can use history, they can use information from past decisions and make better decisions in the future. A lot of these projects will go for 5, 10, 15 years in terms of design, construction, life cycle. They want to make sure that they're making improvements through that whole design and construction process. And that's been critical for them. And one of the key drivers is where you actually have those, that AI backend and the insights-driven engine where we can actually go through and start making some very smart and data-driven decisions. So that was just a little wrap up from me, guys, just to really put that into context of how this is linked into key projects and key project deliveries. And now I'll hand it back to you, Shishantu.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Stephen, so much. So I believe what you have shown today is very exciting. And if I was part of a construction organization, I would start looking at ACC, Autodesk Construction Cloud, and Build, and see how it can help my organization. So with that, we have some questions on how it will work. So there are some very particular questions around some features, some generic. So I request that if Andrew and Tommy can help me with the questions. So starting off, like what kind and what size of firm Build can be implemented? So this has been answered by Tommy on the chat, but for the wider audience, it would be,
So the beauty about Build is that you can actually, it can be used by a one-man army or a company which has hundreds and thousands of users as well. So we have customers who are like a mom and pop shop, who's running construction. They use it. We also have small to medium companies using it, and we also have large companies. For example, to give an example, we have companies like John Holland, CPB, and so on in Australia, which is like the biggest civil companies in Australia using it as well. So it does not really matter the size of the company.
Absolutely. So on that front, again, so like there are a lot of different functionalities within Build, or different functionalities with the Collaborate, Takeoff. So there was one question around if this can be implemented in modules, or this can be procured in modules, or what is just packaging of the solution itself? Yes,
you can purchase it in modules. So you can you can have Collaborate. You can buy Collaborate if you're looking at model coordination. If you're looking at Takeoff, for example, in terms of doing takeoffs, you can have that module. If you're looking at project management perspective, you can get the Build module. If you're looking at CDE, there is a Docs module. So you can actually pick and choose what you want.
Yes.
From a stack. Yes.
Okay. And there's one interesting thing which Mr. Andrew mentioned around BYOS, and which I believe could be bring your own subscription.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that's probably one of the game changers and key differentiators compared to any other solution in the market, and very important for the industry. So Mr. Tommy, I would request that if you can shed more light, what is BYOS and what are the key benefits of it?
Yeah, so the beauty is, from a pricing model perspective, we have a handful of, we're not just sticking with one kind of pricing model. So we have, a couple of pricing modules, and BYO is a very interesting one because, you can buy licenses and then link into the project which you're going for. So we see that quite a bit nowadays. That's a very cost-effective way to do it. We also have companies who roll it out to the entire company as well and to their projects. So we see multiple ways of using it, and we actually are providing multiple options for our customers so that they can choose which is the best option for them and go for it.
Perfect. So that means if a general contractor is working for multiple owners and they have implemented the system, they don't need to buy separate licenses for each project, right? They can use their own and get access to it.
Yeah, so you can do that, or you can actually buy it for your project also.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's perfect. So sorry, there's more specific questions around cost management. But we did not cover that today. So we separately we'll have a session with the team. But so they're talking. Do we have earned value management in the cost management module?
I will pass that on to Stephen. Actually,
Yeah,
Stephen.
sure.
I was just typing in the background, but obviously wasn't quick enough. Yeah, so it's a really good question from Harish. Let me publish it for everyone, and it's really talking about in cost management. So things like earned value management, cost variances, schedule variances, cost performance index, schedule performance index. So basically within Autodesk Build, and we didn't really talk about it much today, but there's two different elements to this. If we're working within a master scheduling tool, such as P6, such as Microsoft Projects, such as Astra, we can bring those schedules into the platform to be able to view and communicate and collaborate around the schedule, right? Because the project is really built up of time, labor, resources, and finances. Once we have the schedule in there, there's a whole host of things we can do. We can, call out areas we think might be starting to push. We can associate issues against it. We can view critical paths of what needs to happen, including on the mobile app. So being able to just give view abilities to the team on the mobile app is a key point. So again, unlocking the information that's in the schedule. But the reason I'm talking about that is we can then bring that schedule into the cost management module and start to do things like create distributions of different budget line items against the schedule. So bringing our master schedule, line up our budget items or our cost items against those, front load, back load, create those distributions based on dates that we input into them, so that we can start to look and start to look at the cash to complete forecasts against and forecasting against the line items. And then as we start to get into things like actuals, we can view how the project is performing as it progresses. We can start to look at those different indices to gain insights as to how they are tracking along. So there's certainly a lot of functionality that opens up as we start to bring the schedule into that cost module. Of course, there's always going to be different ways for people to do different things within cost management. That's a bit of my background, where I come from, and no two companies really do it the same way, even calculating the different columns. So for me, cash to complete equals a certain breakdown of different budget or different inputs. And within the cost module, you can custom calculate those columns too. So we can start to put our formulas in there as custom columns, so that it's going to create the data and a view that we really want to get out of it. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question, Harish. And yeah, the cost module itself is a whole other hour and a half, and you can have me talking for until midnight tonight Australia time, just on that alone.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I believe you're right. Cost management itself is a very deep solution and requires a quite deep session for itself. So if a company or a contractor or organization wants to start on a digital transformation process today, what do you think, what should be the process for them? Because we have a lot of people over here who are just starting out on that process, who are doing some few new projects. So, and how ACC can help them in doing that. So Tommy, or Mr. Andrew, because Andrew, you have worked with a lot of organizations directly. So if you can take that question up.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one, Shashanti. So look, yeah, I guess, again, there's a number of ways that you can go around implementing. As Tommy has said, and Stephen has said, with Autodesk Build, there's a number of ways it can be implemented. So it can be implemented within a project, it can be implemented across an organization. And getting that understanding of how and what you want to implement becomes really important. My number one, anytime that we go to an organization or anytime we start this conversation, is to really do two things, and they both link into the discovery process, which is number one, understand your current processes and what it is that your key outputs and requirements to customers are, if you're delivering to an owner or to whoever it is. So really understanding the processes and the outcomes or the outputs that you need to get out of a project or a design process that you're going through. Number two, having a look at all of the systems and documentation that you have in place at the moment, so that you have a good understanding around what it is that you're trying to do. And then the third point that I go through is looking at, in your current processes, in your current applications, in the current way you work, what are the things that are causing you pain, or what are the things that are deterring you or making it, causing you an impact on delivery. You take all three of those things and then you digest those up, and you actually start to build out a very clear understanding of which components are going to be the most critical, and an essence of how we would go about an implementation strategy for bringing Build in. Once you've gone through and you've actually developed that out and you've started to build out and understand what all those workflows are, then it's just a matter of really starting off sequentially through your process of delivery, you might say. So a lot of people will go through and say, well, I just want to do cost management, so I'm going to go straight into it. Think about how you want the project to flow. So always, the way that I always look at it with implementation, take the endpoint. So look at the last thing or the final output that you want from that project, pull that back in, and then link everything else to make sure sequentially that it's going to drive to that goal. And then start building out the system in that way, so that you've always got that endpoint in mind. It doesn't have to be big bang. So a lot of organizations say, we need to go big bang, we need to go and roll it out. Some organizations may turn around and say, CDE document management is what's really important to me to start off with. Once I've got that in, then I may look at design coordination. Then I may look at RFIs and review process. You don't have to go in big bang. You can be very sequential. Go in, find the areas where you're going to add value to your organization, get the system in, get it working, get people used to the system, and then start expanding it as you go out. It solves a lot of problems as well. Makes it easier as you're going through a root cause analysis if there is a problem, or if you do have something that is being detrimental. But it all starts around a discovery process and really getting an understanding and insights into what you do as an organization and what it is that's causing you pain and what outcomes do you want to achieve. You might want to add something, Stephen, in case I haven't got it.
Yeah, I'll just add a couple more points also. Now that's exactly what you should be doing. One of the suggestions which I have is also, many companies try to do a big bang approach straight away kind of thing, and my advice is, please don't do that.
No.
One is you will the biggest thing is when you go through the digitization phase, there's a huge change management aspect which a lot of people just ignore, right? And think that, yeah, it's very easy, I can just roll it out to my entire company, it's an IT solution kind of thing, right? But there's a huge change management issue there, and you need to do that in a proper way. So my suggestion is, look at a couple of projects and maybe roll it out to one project and see how it is, and then roll it out to the next one and get that success there, and then slowly roll it out to your company. And that, it's a long journey, right? And companies who have just gone ahead and done a big bang approach have all failed in this whole digitization process, because people just ignore change management completely, right? So very important piece of the puzzle there. And as I said, always slow and steady, start with simple stuff. As Andrew mentioned, maybe it's the CDE part which they want, just start with CDE, let's make that working, and then let's go into the RFI, so let's go into defects after that. So it needs to be like a phased approach rather than doing one hit wonder kind of thing. It'll just fail.
Yep. And we have organizations as well, Sanju, where we treat it as a pilot project, you might say. So we'll pick out maybe 2 or 3 workflows that we would implement over a 3 to 4 month period of time, just to really test it on a single project and get people used to that environment, and so that they can start to see the value. As people use a platform, they will see other areas that they can use it. The other reason that Big Bang's terrible, because Big Bang, you're trying to theoretically design a platform that you've never used. So once you start using it, you're going to see other areas that you can grow into. So that concept of moving in, doing smaller portions under a project, a smaller project as a pilot, rolling out a couple of workflows and making sure you drive a successful outcome is also a good approach.
Yep. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Tommy. So Tommy, one last question from you. So today, ACC itself is a quite robust solution and probably solves major pain points for a customer. What do you see future of ACC, like how it is going to, what are the major improvements, major things which are going to come into ACC, how it's going to change the industry? So what is your viewpoint from that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think, what we have come out with right now itself is a game changer from a platform perspective, right? I mean, that's something which I don't think there's any other company who can actually provide the kind of, platform which Autodesk can provide because of the dominance we have in the design side of things, right? So that's a huge point to look at. The second piece is, I mean, we are constantly looking at other solutions, which is actually missing in the whole portfolio also, right? So that we are constantly looking for solutions which can actually improve the workflows and so on. So what you will see is, to give you an example, Pipe was an acquisition which we did, a couple of years back. They use AI to actually do closeouts and things like that. And you will start seeing that particular piece coming into Autodesk Build very soon, right? So that's one. So there are many of those aspects which are there, which are in the line, which is going to come. On top of it, as I said, we are always looking for great startup companies who are doing a fantastic job in certain niche areas where we can actually bring them into as well. So there's always, we are always looking for great technology which can benefit our customer base. So stay tuned. That's all I can say right now. Stay tuned. There'll be a lot of great things coming in the future as well. And the way I look at this is it is a journey. It is a journey which we are going to go, jointly. We are not going to dictate and say, you should be using this or that kind of thing. It's a journey. And as we go through the journey, we are going to trust each other. We are going to believe in each other and create that process, right? So very important. And we are here to support everyone. And we want to actually work with customers and make this a success rather than we saying, okay, this is what you should be using. This is how you should be using. No, we want to make sure that we collaborate with our customers and create something which is actually working for you and not just working for us kind of thing, if you know what I mean, right? So, yeah. I hope that answers. I was a bit all over the place, but
no, that answers a lot. Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll add one thing to that, Shmazu. You talk about where it's going and what's changing. What Autodesk has done with Build has already solved one of the biggest problems that we had in the construction industry, which is the removing silos and making data and information accessible across the entire construction process. We too often we focused in design teams working on designs and construction teams working on drawings. We're finally getting to the level that we don't have to do that anymore. We have a succinct set of information that goes from design into construction, all managed in a data platform and connecting everybody together, right? So we're already doing that. The next evolution is obviously that we're dealing with data. And once we're dealing with data, then we can start to interpret data more effectively. So construction QI, that advancement of AI and how we actually have predictive decision making based off of historical information, that's obviously the next evolution. But that all focuses around capturing and storing and consuming data effectively, because you need that historical data to make better decisions in the future.
So benchmarking will become.
Also, we are also seeing a convergence. And also we are seeing a convergence from manufacturing and construction coming into play as well. So those are areas which we are heavily involved in as well. And also a digital twin, that is something which we are heavily working on as well, which is called Tandem. where you can have a digital twin of your project as well. So there's a whole heap of things for the future, which is in the pipeline, which is going to come out for all our customers.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking all the time and presenting this exciting solution ACC to Indian customers. We'll be working with everyone who are present over here to showcase how this platform can be useful and can be implemented in the respective organizations. So with that, I would like to close this webinar. Again, thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.